Happy Wednesday, everybody. Max here with your fix. Coming up, Avatars 4 and 5 aren't quite a sure thing, so James Cameron says he's prioritizing telling other stories, and I'll tell you what he might be working on next. Meanwhile, details about Diablo 4's Switch 2 version leaked, and a 16-year-old game sold 8 million copies just last month. Let's get into it. James Cameron's trilogy of Avatar films are some of the most successful pieces of entertainment media in history, but if you're ready to see the filmmaker move on to another project, I have good news. It sounds like he might feel the same way. Disney has had Avatars 4 and 5 penciled in over the next 5 years, but hasn't actually greenlit the projects yet. Last year, Avatar Fire and Ash pulled in almost $1.5 billion at the box office, which is nothing to scoff at, but it pales in comparison to the first film and its 2022 sequel, The Way of Water, which pulled in $2.9 and $2.4 billion respectively. Considering how much it cost to make these films, it's not exactly surprising to see Disney a little bit hesitant to make more after signs of a waning box office draw. Anyway, during an interview conducted following Cameron's win at the Canadian Governor-General's Performing Arts Awards, the 71-year-old filmmaker acknowledged that maybe it was time to prioritize telling, quote, other stories during the, quote, last act of his career. He elaborated saying, quote, there's been momentum in the Avatar universe for 21 years at this point because we started in 2005. I took a little time off to build a submersible and dive to the deepest spot on the planet, as you do, but I came back to Avatar after that, and it's been kind of an unbroken continuum. So this is the point where I'm looking at the landscape and asking, what are the other stories I want to tell? How many of them do I need to direct myself versus writing and or producing with other filmmakers? He goes on to explain that he's trying to identify which movie projects will do the most good, and that he's looking at the projects he's most fond of making and picking the ones that will make a lasting impression on future generations. So what could those movies be? Well, Cameron's always had a few other projects in various states of development, and here are some that could be contenders for his next movie. Fairly recently, Cameron has stated that he started work on a Terminator reboot, but that it's proven to be challenging to tackle a future war against machines because of how rapidly the role of AI has been changing in real life, though obviously that makes it more relevant now than ever. Conversely, he could explore a war that already took place. He's expressed interest in adapting Charles Pellegrino's books Last Train from Hiroshima and Ghosts of Hiroshima, which tells the story of a Japanese man who survived both atomic bombings during World War II and generally portrays what life was like in Japan during that particularly horrible time. This one seems like a strong possibility, especially following the success of Oppenheimer at the box office, which definitely shows that people will go see a big blockbuster about something really depressing. Another book that Cameron rapidly scooped up the rights to was Joe Abercrombie's 2025 dark fantasy novel The Devils, which I highly recommend reading. It's basically medieval Suicide Squad with horny werewolves and cannibal elves. We know Cameron can do futuristic sci-fi action, but I would love to see him tackle fantasy too. Though, given the subject matter here, I'm not sure this is what he'd classify as doing the most good for future generations. As for projects that Cameron might oversee but not actually direct himself, back in April, Cameron said he was moving forward with a remake of Fantastic Voyage, but that he wasn't planning on directing that one himself. Originally released in 1966, Fantastic Voyage follows a team of scientists who get shrunken down and injected into a human body to navigate various microscopic obstacles, which are very, very big to them because they are so small. This one was already loosely remade back in 1987 as Inner Space. And of course, there's also the potential Alita Battle Angel sequel. Cameron talked about adapting the manga for decades before taking on an EP role while Robert Rodriguez directed. The first one released in 2019, pulling in $400 million at the box office on a budget of $150 to $200 million, so maybe we'll get another? Of course, it is also entirely possible that Cameron streamlines the entire Avatar pipeline and turns around 2 more movies in half the time for 2/3 the cost, as he's previously stated he's attempting to do. Honestly, I love Avatar, but not as much as I love the idea of Cameron doing something totally new. Which of these do you think we'll see first, if ever? Personally, I'm still holding out hope for his collaboration with Guillermo del Toro to adapt H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness, which seemed to veer into development hell about 15 or so years ago, but who knows, maybe it can come back. Speaking of hell, according to a fresh leak, Diablo 4 is supposedly coming to Nintendo Switch 2 next month. This comes by way of Deal Labs' reliable leaker Billy Kun, who says the port will arrive in mid-September, priced at $69.99 US, more than 3 years after the game first debuted on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox back in June of 2023. Alongside a digital launch via the eShop, the game's Switch 2 port will also be released with a physical edition, though don't get too excited because it will supposedly just be a code in a box, not even a game keycard. There's no exact date, but the leak suggests it'll come out sometime during the 3rd week of September, either Tuesday the 15th or Friday the 18th, and still no word on if it includes the Lord of Hatred expansion. Keep an eye on IGN for the official announcement whenever it drops. And finally, if there's any question why Activision Blizzard is dropping a 3-year-old game on Switch 2 at full price, well, bear in mind that a PlayStation port of a 16-year-old game is one of the year's bestsellers so far. According to Alinea Analytics, Black Ops 2 sold an estimated 8.2 million copies on PS4 and PS5 last month, while Black Ops 1 sold 3 million, making them the two highest-selling PlayStation titles of July, which the firm claims generated close to $430 million. At the beginning of July, Alinea estimated that the three best-selling games of 2026 so far were Mecha Chameleon at 12.6 million copies, EA's FC26 at 9.1 million, and Resident Evil Requiem at 7.5 million. Shortly thereafter, Capcom confirmed that Requiem had crossed the 8 million mark, so Alinea's numbers seem pretty solid, and if they're right about COD, that would put a port among 2026's top 5 best-selling games. Look, if it takes the better part of a decade to develop a new current-gen game from the ground up, and the skyrocketing price of hardware components delays next-gen consoles or makes them prohibitively expensive, I don't really have a problem with game publishers staying afloat by re-releasing some games from a few generations ago that are a pain in the ass to play right now. There are so many great games that are stuck on the Xbox 360, PS3 era generation of consoles, especially PS3 games. I mean, there's the Infamous games, the first two of those, there's the Motorstorm games, there's Tokyo Jungle. Remember Tokyo Jungle? There's also Spec Ops: The Line. Activision has that Deadpool game. They should put that out. Figure out that licensing stuff. There's so many good games from that period that I would happily replay, and a whole bunch of you never played. Anyway, if you'd like to play some games that came out in the last few years for real cheap, this month's Humble Choice lineup is live, and you can score a curated PC bundle that includes Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, TMNT, Shredder's Revenge, Ultimate Edition, Dead Seeds with the Bad Seed DLC, Deck Tamer, Conquest Dark, Gatekeeper, Pile Up, and Dark Envoy. Proceeds go to support Oceana, an international organization dedicated to ocean conservation, which is a cause that I think James Cameron would encourage you to support. So head over to humblebundle.com now to grab them while you still can. That is your fix. I'm Max Scoville, and for everything gaming, you are already in the right place. IGN.